News alert, a bombshell ruling by the Fifth Circuit Court, finding the Biden White House and the FBI and the CDC violated the First Amendment rights of millions of Americans by bullying tech companies into censoring free speech during the pandemic. According to that ruling, the White House, quote, coerced the platforms by way of intimidating messages and threats of adverse consequences. So in other words, the Biden administration forced social media companies to remove our posts that were critical of the Biden administration or made the Biden White House look bad. This ruling could have a major impact on the 2024 election if Democrats lose control of the narrative. The White House says it's evaluating its options.
Meanwhile,
President Biden was out there literally representing America at the G7, saluting our troops, doing what he does as president of the United States. And look, we're going to see more of this. I mean, this is just the reality of campaigning in 2024. So we have to combat that disinformation. We have to hit it hard when it happens and make it clear that these are dirty tactics that MAGA Republicans are using because they can't run on the issues, Lemire. They have to use these dirty tactics like this because they are not right with Americans on the issues. So we're going to see more of this. We're going to do what we can to combat it. But it does take the voices of surrogates across the country. It does take the media to call it out. It does take social media platforms where a lot of Americans are getting their information to point it out as well.
In case you didn't know, that court ruling that Jesse Waters was referring to happened in September of 2023, nearly a year ago. And just like with every other court ruling that the Dementia Joe administration doesn't like, he and his accomplices are simply going to ignore it. And with absolutely no message for the people, nothing to offer the people that he'd like to have vote for him, and with Trump surging in the polls, they are going to revert back to censorship. And just remember this, without censorship in 2020, today Dementia Joe would be a patient in a rest home somewhere in Delaware. And now they are ramping up the silencing campaign once again. It's absolutely happening. I'm experiencing it on this channel, and I've talked to many YouTubers and they're saying they're getting hammered as well. The full court press is on to get us to shut up. Forget misinformation or disinformation or whatever the difference between those two things actually is. Now they just want to stomp out anything that could be construed as negative to Dementia Joe. The Libnuts went all in on Dementia Joe, and now they're hoping that the media, who's obviously willing to comply, and big tech, who's obviously willing to comply, are going to do enough to get him reelected. Thankfully, there are some in the media who still have some integrity. People like Judge Jeanine and Greg Gutfeld, who are sounding the alarm.
We have a sitting president, and we should know the answer to all those questions because Joe Biden has the bully pulpit. He has the ability to tell the American people now where he stands on these issues. Is he doing it? No, he's not capable of speaking. He goes out to with the G7, and he's walking away looking at people who are skydiving or whatever they're doing, and they have to pull him back and say, Mr. President, over here. The man's on another planet. So when Charlemagne the God says, we want a politician who talks like real people, this isn't about, they want this issue or that issue. I mean, we've known historically, people vote for someone they like.
Now, we all know that many of them don't like Donald Trump, but they don't even know why they don't like Donald Trump. They are just told this is what you have to do. If you don't do this, hey, we're probably going to come after you and see if we can tear down your business or ruin your life, so that they dutifully get in step and do what the Libnuts want them to do.
That they connect with. The young people, if anything, are exquisitely sensitive to the frailties of the elders. And they don't want to be gaslit by someone saying Bidenomics is great. These people can't afford a house. They can't afford to buy a car. They can't afford groceries. And forget about savings. They don't have savings. So, it's not about all of these, we've got to have a discussion about what they really feel about policy. I want a guy there that I feel is fighting for me.
And that's just it. That is purely it right there. The Libnuts, Dementia Joe, they have not articulated anything, not a single policy that can help Americans with their lives. I hate to sound like Sean Hannity and keep saying the same thing over and over again, but has Dementia Joe talked about anything regarding helping you with gas prices? Nope. Has he talked to you about anything about lowering grocery prices? Nope. Has he said anything about mortgage rates being less? Nope. Just the opposite. What's he say? I'm going to raise taxes. And people are like, wait a minute, you're siphoning money already between what's more expensive with all the inflationary stuff, and you want to raise taxes. Meanwhile, you're going to fly over to some other country and hand out billions of dollars. That's a losing proposition.
So Joe Biden is not the real person that Charlemagne the God is talking about. Joe Biden's been on TikTok for what, 5 months? Donald Trump went on in one day and has surpassed the number of followers that Joe Biden has. And Joe Biden is hiring the TikTok influencers. He's always talking about it. It's because Donald Trump is real.
Bingo. Donald Trump is real. What you see, even if you don't like it, that's what you get. There's nothing fake about it. His words are going to tell you exactly what he feels about something, which makes it easier for the media to take things out of context, because unless you hear him and you hear how he delivered a message, it's easier for them to go ahead and misconstrue it and twist it any way they want and tell the nuts who watch their shows. It's incredible.
Donald Trump is someone you could relate to. He's genuine. He's not full of crap. You don't hear the politics intervening when he's answering a question. Let me just point out a couple other things. In 2016, Hillary won the young votes by 19 points. Mm-hmm. In 2020, Biden won by 24 points. Right now, what has changed? Why is Donald Trump ahead? What's changed is they're tired of being gaslit, and they know they don't have a future. They know that somebody telling them everything is great doesn't help them.
Bidenomics is crap, and there's nothing that Dementia Joe and his cohorts can change, because people experience it in their actual daily lives. Every time they go to the store and they have to buy something, they are basically understanding that Bidenomics is crap. You're making me pay more and more and more. There's no policy. There's nothing you can say at this point. You got 5 months left to the election, and you're trying to tell me that Bidenomics is great, but I just don't get it. I don't understand. No, I don't understand. People do not understand. Your gaslighting is no longer working, and you know it, and that's why you're going to start relying on censorship all over again.
And they got to force the fact that their economic dreams are not going to be attained while this guy's stumping around, bumbling around, and they can't make it.
And she's absolutely right. We can actually see. We have ears. We know what this guy has said over and over again. And you're trying to tell us, no, that's not what it's like. He's fine. Boy, he's sharp as a tack privately. So if he's sharp as a tack privately, what happens when the air hits him and he goes outside? Is he allergic to oxygen or something? Because we see it, we hear it with our own eyes when he gets on these stages and he's shaking hands with nobody and doesn't know where he's going, and he starts blah, 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 and mumbling and bumbling and stumbling. But you're telling us everything is fine. We're Americans. We can smell it. We can smell the BS coming from the liberal media. It's hard to not get angry. We see it every single day. You are telling us, Dementia Joe and his media cohorts are telling us, ignore the shriveled old man with no clothes on. It's not what you really think. It's so bad that Dementia Joe is a walking, talking campaign ad for Trump. I know Trump is raising gazillions of dollars and really people are getting behind him, but you don't even really need scriptwriters. You don't even need filmmakers. You don't even need producers. Just take clips of what Joe actually says and what he actually does. He's a parody of a man. He's a joke of a candidate.
We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing. America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was in foothills of the Himalayas with Xi Jinping. She knows so long as I say denied, our freedom can never be secured. We'll never forget lying around. And him lying around, actually. It is noteworthy that the percentage of women who register to vote and cast a ballot is consistently higher than the percentage of the men who do so. End of quote. Repeat the line. I'll lead an effective strategy to mobilize true international effort to pressure.
Oh, my God. It's brutal, but the sad reality is we don't really need that ad anymore.
We don't need the ad. We see it every single day. That's why they have to shut us up.
Biden is unfit to be president, tailor-made for the 25th Amendment, and the Dems know that. Which raises a key question. If Dems actually believe Trump is an existential threat, then why are they running this? If Trump is Hitler, why is your only choice to fight him an Elmer Fudd with Alzheimer's? It's illogical. Unless, of course, you have a backup plan come November, or else he would have replaced him already.
There's no backup plan. I really don't think there's a possibility of a backup plan, and I'll let you know why in a second.
So it's normal, in fact, it's necessary to be suspicious that the party is sticking to this plan. Right now, Trump's winning. The predictions have him pulling away. The betting odds, the shift in minority men to Trump, the current electoral college count.
Landslide. Unless something drastic happens and, the shenanigans occur, it's going to be a landslide.
It's all Trump. So what if by some odd chance Biden wins? Do you think America is really going to buy that? Mm-hmm. That an incapacitated, liver-spotted crash test dummy is going to beat anyone?
Tell us how you really feel, Greg.
Much less Trump? Shouldn't the Democrats be in a panic about the aftermath if they manage to somehow pull this charade off?
That's why they keep asking people, are you going to accept the results of the election no matter what happens? What do you mean no matter what happens? Why the hell would I accept the results of an election no matter what happens? You keep hearing them ask that over and over again. It makes no sense whatsoever. What do you mean no matter what happens?
The election will not be believed because our eyes and ears see and hear what that candidate is like.
They can't make us unsee what we're actually seeing and hearing. That's the problem. That's why they have to have the censorship. They have to get everybody to stop seeing and reporting on what they're actually experiencing.
If Biden wins, this country will be in chaos, not because of any violence. It's because no one's going to believe it.
Nope.
There just has to be some kind of underlying shenanigans. Now compare that to Trump. If Trump wins, no one's going to accuse him of cheating because he's the most scrutinized candidate in the history of the world.
And Trump doesn't control these inner city late night dumps that seem to happen over and over and over. It's almost like we should make the inner cities, you guys go ahead and put your votes in first. Have you ever noticed? That's one thing I keep noticing in these elections. They always say, we're waiting for the inner city to come in. They haven't reported their tally yet. Watch what happens every single election. Hey, it's Atlanta, and we haven't really got all the votes yet. Hey, it's Philadelphia, we haven't gotten all the votes yet. Oh, wait a minute, we have almost all the votes. 98% of the precincts in Michigan have reported, except Detroit hasn't reported yet for some reason. Over and over and over, we keep seeing this happen. As a black man, it infuriates me. Why the hell can't you get it together in the inner city? Oh, we know why. It's because that's how it's designed.
He can't fart without CNN assembling a 12-person panel. So my advice, to save the country some really bad post-election, why not do the right and honorable thing and run someone who's actually still drawing a breath?
Well, that actually makes sense. It's too late, Greg. They've already gone all in with Dementia Joe. There's no way they can replace Joe because Kamala is next in line. And there's no way they can jump Kamala because if they do that, you know how many people they've lost in the black community. You go ahead and basically push Kamala out with no reason, you're going to lose women and you're going to lose a big, big portion of the black vote. Even bigger than they're losing right now. So there's no way they can do it. Even if Kamala took the high road and said, Joe and I are a team and we're both going to walk away, nobody's going to believe that. And so that's why I don't think that they can change horses right now. Yeah, they could get rid of Joe, but then they're left with Kamala, and that's even worse. And again, as I said, if they try to get rid of Kamala and jump over her with a different candidate, all hell's going to break loose. Removing Kamala would be political suicide. So that's why I think they're stuck. And to me, that's also why I think they're reverting to the censorship playbook. They don't want anyone using their own ears and eyes. That's dangerous for the Democrat Party. And here's why. You may have seen Dementia Joe wandering around after this guy came in and parachuted in. And there you see the other leaders of the G7, and they're all looking around, and all of a sudden you see Joe, get that look on his face like the ice cream truck just drove by. And then he just decides, yeah, I'm just going to go walk over here. And you see the lady, I forget her name, from the European Union, and Macron are sitting like, dude, what are you doing? And he's like, ice cream? Is ice time for ice cream? And the lady in pink here, who is the Prime Minister of Italy, decides, she must have had class, kindergarten teacher maybe. She's seen this before. She's like, I see what's going on. Let me go ahead and run this guy. I'm going to back into him. Back up. Hey, Joey. Yeah, get your butt back over here and take a picture. Yeah, okay, here. It's kind of bright. Can I put my glasses on? Oh, okay. I'm going to put my glasses on. So what happened today after that is what I want to talk to you about. Here we're going to talk. This is on MSNBC Morning Joe. So if we haven't lived through the craziest thing in the last couple of years with all kinds of disinformation being put around out there, listen to what this woman says, which is basically a clarion call to everyone in the media. You got your marching orders. You got to help us out here. We understand Joe's a couple eggs short of a dozen, but we can't have people spreading these kind of videos that you can see with your own eyes. Listen to this.
Now, as we've talked about earlier this morning, many on the right and conservative media playing the disinformation game to paint an inaccurate picture of the president, including the front page of the New York Post today, which has a picture of President Biden seemingly wandering off.
You people don't really know what happened. He seemingly wandered off. No, we watched it. You just saw it yourself. He wandered off and was heading over that way. But, okay.
In Italy, when really, as we showed the full video earlier, he was turning to congratulate and salute some of the troops, some of these who had just used the parachutes to come down.
He completely made that up. Did you see a salute? Nope, I didn't see a salute. And what would he be saluting? Another country's military? Are you seriously saying that our commander-in-chief was about to salute another country's military? Those of you guys in the military, let me know how you feel about that, if that was true. But we saw the entirety of the video. I didn't cut it. I showed the full video. He wandered off. Maloney from Italy went and brought him back. Get over here. Why didn't he just turn around and come back himself? If what we saw was disinformation, people saw with their own eyes across the world. In addition to the blubbering idiocy that he blurted out earlier, how are you going to tell us what we're seeing with our own eyes isn't true? Watch.
And visit the world leaders. So how do you, as the Biden campaign, how do you combat this sort of disinformation, which is everywhere and seemingly only growing and spreading?
So now he's just told her, looking at this thing, now he's just told her, this is disinformation. Why? Because we've labeled it as such. We're going to tell the world right now that it's disinformation. And this woman from the Biden campaign is now going to tell you or basically tell them what needs to happen.
Yeah, thanks, Lemire, for raising this. I mean, first of all, we have to point it out where it is, right? We have to make it clear that disinformation is alive and well. We have to use surrogates and voices across the country to combat this and make it clear that not only do we not play this game, but to your point, President Biden was out there literally representing America at the G7, saluting our troops, doing what he does.
Now, she said saluting our troops. I'm pretty sure none of those guys are in American military uniforms, unless she's talking about Normandy Day and what he blurbed through there. But we're talking about this, and she's saying that this is disinformation.
President of the United States. And look, we're going to see more of this. I mean, this is just the reality of campaigning in 2024. So we have to combat that disinformation. We have to hit it hard when it happens and make it clear that these are dirty tactics that MAGA Republicans are using because they...
Oh, you dirty fools. You dumb, dirty playing fools. How dare you look at a video with your own eyes and determine something's wrong? We have to hit back. So how do you plan on hitting back?
They can't run on the issues, Lemire. They have to use these dirty tactics like this because they are not right with Americans on the issues.
Issues, economy, safety, border. You're the people who aren't running on the issues. But let's let her get to the important part, what needs to happen.
So we're going to see more of this. We're going to do what we can to combat it. But it does take the voices of surrogates across the country. It does take the media to call it out.
It takes the media. She's telling the media and the people at YouTube and Facebook, not Twitter. Elon Musk ain't listening to this crap. You guys need to stop this. You need to stop this, nip it in the bud, because we need to win. So at this point, we're calling on you in the media to basically call it out, because you guys all know well what we're seeing isn't really what we're seeing.
It does take social media platforms where a lot of Americans are getting their information to point it out as well. And we just have to call it out where it is and do everything we can to push back against this disinformation, because we're going to continue to see more of it. And it's important that we call it out when we see it.
Meanwhile,
so she just told the media, guys, you need to stop this. You need to jump on it. Newspapers, television, social platforms, you need to stop before people get too comfortable with this, because right now we're seeing some really bad stuff about Dementia Joe, and we need you guys to step in. Okay, so what exactly does she want to see happen? Well, she wants the media to basically pick up the flag and run with it, which of course they are quite happy to do.
It needs to be said. I mean, you have Joe Biden here with a schedule that would be brutal for anybody.
Oh my gosh.
Any president of any age going to Europe, a couple times on D-Day and spending 5 days in France, going over to the G7.
In the middle of the personal struggles.
In the middle of the personal struggles, the Hunter trial. And yesterday, even critics were saying that he did a strong job, very good job representing the United States, even though...
No, they're not. In fact, there are a lot of people from the European press saying this guy has gotten really bad. He's lying. He's doing exactly what he's been told. This is what you need to do. And they are not going to stop.
Again, we have some cheap fakes that the RNC, once again, spreading vicious lies about Joe Biden, but that's just...
You don't have to spread any lies. You have eyes and ears. When you hear the guy go out there and go blah, 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 and you see him wandering around, what are you spreading? You're spreading the actual thing that happens. It's not fake. But now they've basically committed, the media and the social platforms, stop it, cut it. Do something. Do whatever you need to do. Crank down these people's YouTube channels. Stop the news. Do whatever you need to do. We can't let this message get out.
That's who they are.
We should point those out.
That's who they've become. We will point that in a second. But Jonathan Lemire, I was struck by that. Struck by the strong message as well that Joe Biden delivered yesterday. I mean, the
strong message.
United States and our great allies in Europe have really stood shoulder to shoulder here, other than Mike Johnson and Donald Trump holding up badly needed security aid.
What he's talking about, badly needed security aid for that country over there where they're trying to lock the United States in for 10 years to fund this guy who today Putin said, hey, listen, we'll cut a deal. Let's go ahead and stop this. Let's do it. But no, they're pushing this message that nobody in America cares about. People care about gas prices, food, rent, mortgage rates, and they're trying to make it seem as though he's doing everything possible to help Americans when we know it's BS.
The Ukraine, now that roadblock has gotten passed, and people who actually love freedom and love democracy and hate authoritarians
Every time they say it's a threat to democracy, it makes me laugh. It makes me laugh. While you're sitting there telling people they can't talk about something. Understand it. He just followed Dementia Joe's spokesperson who said we need to have the media stop people from talking. And then the next words out of his mouth are, we need to protect democracy. You can't make this shit up.
Invade other countries. It seems to...
And by the way, I'm watching the monitor to see when Trump comes out. He still hasn't walked out, so don't worry about missing anything.
We have them outnumbered. as far as people in Europe and America that actually support freedom at all times, unlike a lot of Republicans in the House. But a very strong message. The United States followed the EU in its support, and now they get together at the G7 and another $50 billion going Ukraine's way.
I don't want to go in their way. You want to go in their way? No, not at all. Now, I went back and I grabbed a little snippet of a video that these two did a year or so ago. You know, the bastions of truth that they are. The bastions of democracy, who are protecting democracy. The same two people. Listen to this. These are the people they have basically tagged and said, we want you to run interference for us. Okay, we'll do it. Let's see what they did a year or two ago.
And talk about Facebook having problems and Twitter having problems with a story that even the New York Post knew was a lie. They published a series of lies peddled to them by Rudy Giuliani, who admitted that nobody else would take it but Rupert Murdoch's New York Post.
These guys are such liars, and they do it so well. Their audience just must be lab rats. I can't even imagine. There's all these kind of videos where you can go back in the archives and pull up when this is him being so emphatic about the laptop being Russian disinformation.
Because they might look into it and tell the truth. Here we are in 2020. This is what it's come down to, America. Giuliani is feeding Russian misinformation to Donald Trump and feeding Russian disinformation to the New York Post. They know it's a lie.
Who's lying? Now that you've seen that, who's actually lying? Just remember, they loudly and aggressively covered up anything having to do with the laptop, including censoring a major United States newspaper. Using the word cover-up is just a nice way of saying they're liars. And right now, they're back getting ready to gaslight Americans all over again. And as you saw, Dementia Joe's campaign is out here issuing marching orders to the media and to big tech, yeah, you guys too, to do whatever you need to do to shut people up. It's only going to get worse. I may see this channel suppressed even more. We may see some people actually get banned again. The word has been sent out to begin silencing the opposition. It's kind of scary because they're obviously getting very desperate. And accordingly, they now have to control what people hear, see, and even think. God help us all. November's a long way away, and I think we're going to see some really scary stuff. They have to stop what we hear, see, and think.
He could have undermined the messaging so much that he can actually control exactly what people think, and that is our job. Control exactly what people think, and that is our job. Control exactly what people think, and that is our job.
Hey, listen, the big debate between Dementia Joe and Trump is scheduled for June 27th, if it happens, and I'll be broadcasting it live, and I want you to join me. If you've watched any of my live broadcasts, you know we have a ton of fun. 300,000 people tuned in to see my live broadcast of the Las Vegas rally, and I gave away a fabulous trip. So be sure to join me for the big debate. It will be undoubtedly a lot of fun, and who knows, you might win something. Just click here to register to be notified as soon as I go live. Thanks, and talk to you soon. Hope to see you at the debate.